Welcome to Hartman Math. This is our third day of building polynomials, lesson 3-4, where we're given the zeros of the polynomial and also the y-intercept of the graph. So we want to write the function w of x as a polynomial of its linear factors. So we need to convert from zeros into linear factors. We also have an unknown a value. So w of x equals a times x minus, that's our form for factors, x minus the 0 times x minus the 0 times x minus the 0. So x minus negative 3 becomes x plus 3. X minus negative 1 becomes x plus 1. X minus 2 is written x minus 2. And again, we have an unknown a value. So to figure out the a, we're going to use the y-intercept. So we'll go after the y-intercept as is, the same way we normally do. We're going to substitute in 0 for all the x's. W of 0 equals, still don't know what a is, 0 plus 3 times 0 plus 1 times 0 minus 2. That should equal, according to our y-intercept, negative 12. So what we want to do is take the part after the a, type this into our calculator. So if you want to pause here, get your calculator, do this multiplication. See what you get. You should get negative 6. So a, what number would we multiply by negative 6 to get negative 12? Or just solve for a. That tells us that a is 2. So our function, go back to here, replace a with 2. There's our function. Next, we go back to lesson 1 on building polynomials. Number 1, we would make a sign chart. We were already told the 0, so those are the marks that we're going to make from negative 3, negative 1, positive 2. Okay? And we're going to pick a number to the left, like negative 5. Plug in negative 5 here, negative 5 here, negative 5 here. Don't forget to multiply by 2. So 2 times, parentheses, negative 5 plus 3, parentheses. Parentheses, negative 5 plus 1, parentheses. Parentheses, negative 5 minus 2, parentheses. Hit equals. You get a negative number. In the sign chart, we just care about positive and negative. So we get negative. Go ahead and pause the video here. Pick a number in this interval. Get the sign. Pick a number in this interval. Get the sign. Pick a number in this interval. Get the sign. Resume when you've got the rest of the sign chart. All right, and here I think we definitely want to choose negative 2. So 2 times negative 2 plus 3 times negative 2 plus 1 times negative 2 minus 2. You get a positive. 0. Ooh, we already know that one. 0 comma negative 12, so that one's negative. How about 4? 2 times 4 plus 3 times 4 plus 1 times 4 minus 2, we get a positive. So even though we're not looking at the graph, the sign chart tells us where we're positive and where we're negative. We're positive between negative 3 and negative 1. That's an interval. We're positive anywhere past 2, from 2 to infinity. That's an interval. We're negative from negative infinity all the way up until negative 3. We're negative between negative 1 and 2. What about our end behavior? We don't need the graph for that either. The sign chart tells us that. As we go to the right, the last sign is positive, so we're going to be going up towards positive infinity. As we go left, the last interval going towards negative infinity is negative So our function is going to be going towards negative infinity. All right, let's take this information, our sign chart, our zeros. Let's graph our function. The zeros are on the x-axis. We already had the y-intercept. Notice that we're not marking scale on the y-axis, so just indicating that it was negative. So we're going to start low. In the middle between these points will be above, then below, then above. So below, above, below, above. And there's our graph. Example number 2, zeros, y-intercept. Write f of x as a polynomial of its linear factors. F of x equals unknown a at this time times x minus negative 2, x minus 1, x minus 2. We've got to figure out the a. So we're going to use the y-intercept to do that. We're going to do f of 0. 0, 0, 0. It will all equal negative 4. Calculator time. What is this times this times this? You should get 4. 4 times a is negative 4. Solve for a. Divide both sides by 4. A is negative 1. So when we rewrite it back into here, a is negative 1. You can write negative 1, but we could also just write the negative sign, meaning the same thing. There's our function as a product of its linear factors in factored or intercept form. Let's do a sign chart. When you do the sign chart, we set up our zeros, which we already know. And we pick something like negative 5. You have to have the negative out in front. So negative, parentheses, negative 5. Or make that negative 1, either one. We just can't not have it. So negative, parentheses, negative 5 plus 2, negative 5 minus 1, parentheses, negative 5 minus 2. Type it all in. And get a positive. 0 falls in this interval. We already know that that's going to be negative 4, so negative. Ooh, what can we pick between 1 and 2? Yeah, we should maybe pick 1.5. That would be a good one. So negative, parentheses, 1.5 plus 2, parentheses, 1.5 minus 1, parentheses, 1.5 minus 2. You can get a decimal. We don't care about that. It is a positive number. Past 2, like 3. Plug in 3. Don't forget about the negative. You should get a negative number. So where are we positive? Here. And between 1 and 2. That's an interval. Where are we negative? Between those two numbers. All this out here from 2 forever to infinity. And behavior. As x goes towards positive infinity, the last sign is, so we go negative infinity. As we go to the left towards negative infinity, the last sign is towards positive infinity. Let's graph it. Got our sign chart, we got our information. Pause here, get the graph, make sure it's nice and smooth and rounded, no sharp corners. Pause when you're ready to check. So out to the left we start positive. We start above. Then we're below. Then we're above just a little bit. And then we finish below. So it looks something like that. That's it for today. See you next time.